right, that's where we're going to pick up. Hey guys, my name is Phil Kearney. What's up? I create role-playing games. I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And I am currently creating an adventure for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I'm not looking at the screen because I'm trying to navigate stuff here. Yeah, Crystals of a Bar, 4 to 5 characters, level 7 to 8. Let's see where my volume is at. All right, sounds really good. So let's drop that back down. I'm going to do some social media bouncing here real quick, and then we're going to get to work. It's later than I wanted to. I need to change my schedule around because I'm not getting the time in during the mornings that I want to get in. So I got to figure that out. My life has been a little jilty lately, so we'll stabilize. We'll stabilize. Give me one moment while I'm doing my social media updates here real quick. So just to tell you about myself, my name's like I said, blah blah blah, Phil Kearney, all that stuff. I said it out of order, so I'm out of my routine. But I've been DMing since 1987. I've been using Eberron as my world of choice in homebrew since I want to say 2005. And I've been a freelance illustrator since '99, and I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2017. But I've never created my own adventures. So Andy Old Goat Heatley and Stuart Braz and I, we got together and we made Crystals of a Bar. So the past 300 and some odd episodes, we've been building maps and tokens and different player assets for the adventure. Now we get to feed them into the document as illustrations as we do our page layouts. So I think that's all the spiel that I had. So if you're on the X Twitter platform, I'm here at Phil Kearney, and I post works in progress, latest works, coupons, and what's going on. So if you're interested, you can follow me on the X Twitter platform at Phil Kearney. And here online at YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we are live in the future. New subscribers, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate you. Here's the 341 episodes we've done so far. Here's the entire playlist. This book cover that we're looking at here, this was created around episode 40, actually. We were doing plant tokens before that. But you can see episode 40 of us creating this. I think we did the lettering around episode 220. So you can check that stuff out if you're interested, but we're going to get back into it. So when we were here yesterday, we were working on page 4, the different factions in the adventure. The Emerald Claw, who's the folks that are up to no good. Red Wolf Company, which are mercenaries hired by the Emerald Claw that didn't realize how bad stuff was going to get and has regrets. And now the local villagers, which are the people that called for help in the first place because the Red Wolf Company looks like they're military, but they're not helping with any of the monsters that seem to be created by the Emerald Claws. So your team gets called in to help the villagers. They'll run into Red Wolf Company, and they'll either be get information or get in fights with Red Wolf. And then as they push through the adventure, they'll eventually find the Emerald Claw and all the undead culty stuff that's going on. But where we're at right now, we need to. We were talking about this yesterday. Changing the elevation and the amount of text that's on the page, which I have successfully done. This is page 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the actual document. I wish I had gotten further along on this last night, but I ended up on a restructuring tear because I was getting stuck at the descriptive in the descriptive part. Hold on. That's where it's supposed to be at. I think I was talking about dropping that down. Let's see if I can drop a line or not. I don't think I can, and if I can, I want to drop Red Wolf Company down a line. So Solzu, who's the name of the guy that's running the Emerald Claw cell that we're working with here, Solzu recruited a company of veteran mercenaries named Red Wolf to provide security around the Manifest Zone. Once part of the Necromancer Regiment in the Army, the Red Wolf Company was known for their experience in containing undead threats beyond the battlefield. Once the war ended, the Red Wolves were decommissioned. The job Soju described sounded easy, mostly keeping stray furriers from coming too close to the zone and providing an air of professionalism to the operation. However, since the ritual has begun, the vegetation is rotted away and undead are rising from unmarked graves. Is how I need to word that. Are rising. Okay, so there's nothing that I can really trim so far. And I don't want to just make this one giant paragraph. That feels wrong. Morale among the mercenaries erodes, and the mercenary captain is ready to break contract as morale among the mercenaries erodes, comma, Captain Carl Forrest is ready to break contract with Sozu, but he's worried not only is his company's reputation, not only for his company's reputation, but especially now that they know the goals of the cult, the possibility that the entire company could be hunted down or for betraying the Emerald Claw. The mercenaries are well positioned to look the other way if the characters approach them properly. With a bit of convincing, they could become helpful allies. That feels right. Thank you, Timely Timer. I got a 20-minute timer going to make sure I don't get into any kind of weird tangents. But I wouldn't call this a weird tangent. I call this pretty damn important. Once part of the Necromancer, the Necromantic Regiment, the Necromancer Regiment of the Army of the Red Wolf. Hey, Chronix, how you doing, my guy? I'm trying to take this block of text and reduce it one line, and I don't know if I can or not, but ideally I will, just for the page flow balance. So, looking at the horizontal alignment of the full page, if I could drop this down like 2 lines here, and be able to raise this one up, so I'd have this cascading sort of effect. I'd be able to space out. Like, I'm having elevation issues because of this faction label here. I need to define, hey, these are factions that are in the game. Wait a second. Maybe I don't. Hold on. That's where that's at. I want to take this. Chronix, I'm glad you showed up, man. I don't know if I would have been able to do this without you. What if I take this here and move it down here? Uh-oh. Looks like I'm finding myself a decent... I can drop that down to 12. Whoopie doop, it's almost perfect. Okay, cool. So let's... Okay, that's going to work. So let's see, is there anything else I can do? Factions. That's 20-point font. This is 16-point font, hard caps. I could drop this down in here. God, it doesn't feel... It certainly feels more natural for the layout of the page. Let's look for pattern recognition, repetition. So that seems to be doing well. That feels pretty good for. I can just. The plan is just to dump a mural across the 3 columns here. So, Chronix, if you don't know, the aspect ratio of tablets, desktop monitors, and cell phones is 16:9. And this is a 17-inch wide, 10-inch tall document. So this fits inside of that. If you're willing to trim the margin on your document just a touch, like this bottom ½ inch here, if that gets trimmed off, then all 3 panels fit on a cell phone just fine. That's a little small to read for most folks. It's a 12-point font. So it's a little small, but on a tablet, it's super easy, and on a desktop, it's really easy. The really cool part for me, I think, is that the aspect, this is 10 inches tall and 10.5 5.5 inches wide, and for you to meet a 16 to 9 aspect ratio horizontally, this needs to be 5.8 inches wide. So you can fit one single column into your cell phone like this. So you can flip like this and look at the full page at all the art, and if depending on your device, you can read the whole page as is, but you can also flip it vertically so that it's just a single column. So I'm pretty excited about how this sits. So the way that the entire adventure is currently organized is that each column has a complete thought. It might be part of a larger thought, like a room or a region or a trap or who knows, whatever. But each column is a single thought that you can grasp onto, while the illustrations can sprawl across multiple columns but stay contained inside of one page. So I can treat one page as a work of as like a single composition, and then when I zoom into the single column, I can work on that individually as like a technical piece of the document. So this is a lot more technically challenged than what I'm used to doing. But I think I'm at a level of skill that I could actually tackle something like that. So that's what we're working on. And I'm going to actually push this line up a smidge. Hold on. Yeah, if I push that line up a smidge, it levels off. So this might actually be the proper solution. So let's grab this. I'm going to be content with this page for now. We're on page 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to File, Export, into a folder of my choice, which is, Crystals of Mabar. We're going to call this page 3, and then we're going to go to Options, because I do all my layout in Microsoft Word. So I mean, you don't have to be high production here. I got a free license on my computer because of work. So I can use Word. If I ever lose access to it, I can just go pick it up again. But stupid simple. So we want the current page, which is 3, and we just want the document without any property or structure tags. Okay, and then we're going to publish. It'll spit it out as a PDF. Thank you, Pop. And the background isn't white; it's transparent. So when we come back here into Photoshop, and I open the document, we can go to Crystals of Mabar, and then we go to page 3. I see text. Hold on, let me catch up. I open the page, I copy all the text on the page, and then I drop it into position. I then conceal that. And now everything's restructured, so I can make that disappear, and that, and that, and that, and that. Now we have our page. Now I can paint directly on the page, and when we finish the document, I can I extract everything on the page. I create over here. Let's go to Insert, and then Shapes, and then Block. I'll make a block like this, and then I can put it behind the text, and then we reshape it. So we go to Format Shape. No, that's not the right button. We go to Shape Format. There we go. And we go to Size, and then we go to Height is 10, width is 17, and then we align it. Shape Format, Arrange, Position. No, alignment over here. We're going to align left, align top, and align to page. Align left, align top, there. And now the page is perfectly matched. So when I take this final illustration and drop it into the document, it'll automatically line up with the text. So that's how that whole process works. And all we got to do is 102 times and we're done. So what's up? Yeah, there you go. So that's how I do my page. So I export the page into Photoshop as a PDF, and then I make all the artwork. I fuse it all down. I only need you only need a 72 DPS. That's damage per second. DPI. Sorry. dots per inch. You only need a 72 resolution DPI in these documents to make them work, but I typically operate around 150 DPI because it helps keep the file size manageable. But this is twice the size of page, so it's technically a 200-page document as far as file size go. It'll probably be 17, 18, maybe 20 megs when we're done. So I'll have to look at how the resolution that I can mess around with it. Because if you're on a tablet just looking, or a phone looking at it, you don't have to have very high resolution in your images. But I want to make sure I'm paying that respect. So we're messing around with that. And I got to make sure that over the course of the adventure, that all the spots that we're creating for all the technical information of the adventure is going to leave enough space open for me to be able to drop in like the pictures of the maps or the creatures or traps or whatever it is that we're illustrating. And then whatever spots might be left over in the illustration that aren't technical space, then we fill in with spot illustrations of, well, we've got all the monster tokens, all the NPCs and stuff that auto fill in as illustrations that we've already completed. We just drop them into position. But beyond that, if there's any little spots open, like we can do like a little room or like a door or like objects in the room, like little knick-knacky little spot illustrations to flesh out the space of the adventure. So I'm going to hit save here real quick because I don't think I need to have this document open for the rest of the session. So I'm going to drop it away. I've got the new 3. Cool, let's delete that. Yeah, I'm good with that. Okay, cool. So then let's go back into right hand. There's a bunch of smudgery going on that I don't necessarily need anymore, but I do need to reposition. I do need to reposition this. So maybe. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I bet what I. Let's take, let's grab, I'm going to have to do some quick surgery here. It was a little hasty of me to have closed that, but it's going to be okay. Let's switch to our pen. I've been on a mouse. I'm going to switch to the pen here for higher efficiency. Let's just drop down here like this. I think what I want to do is take all this and drop it even. See, I do the layouts here in Photoshop, right? I bend where things are at. I could probably just take this like that and line that up there. See, I can just line up the text so it all automatically lines up. So that would be appropriate, and that doesn't feel wrong. Yeah, I'm good with that. So that means I'm going to immediately regret my decision of closing my document. I'm going to open it back up again just to get it done so I don't forget about it. But yeah, it's a little off balance, but I think the illustrations overall help balance it out, which is what's really nice about being able to compose the composition alongside the actual artwork to allow me the opportunity to do that. There, see, all just sits nice. And how are we doing on this page? Sitting pretty. I had to restructure it, so now we have it as the introduction. You know, thanks for buying this book and all that other bullshit. Adventure background, just a quick skinny of what's going on here, and then we have the factions. So the 3 groups that are involved: the Emerald Claw, the Red Wolf Company, that are the mercenaries that are hired, and then the local villagers that are being affected and that hire your team. And then you have running the adventure. So we're talking about like the scale of the adventure as part of an ongoing campaign, as a single adventure, or just using the document as a toolkit. The different locations in the adventure. So we have this space here where we can have this is like a map illustration of the region in general, with all the different spots located throughout it. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, at the edge of the forest, in the forest, inside the manifest zone, within the forest, and then the underground facility beneath it, and then weather conditions for the entire adventure, as well as each part and region and area within the region, conditions and terrain. So we're going to have little tokens, like little monikers that we can put in different areas. So when you look at it at a glance, if you click the icon, it'll take you back to this page. So like if it's dim light in the area, then we'll have a dim light icon, probably like a gray eye with probably like a gray square with an eye in it. And if it's darkness, it'll be a black square with a white outline of an eye. And then in bright light, it'll be a white background with a black eye. That should work. And then like heavily obscured would be 20 feet. It would be like a gray box with a half open eye. And then heavily obscured would be a darker gray with a half open eye. And that's the idea that I'm thinking of. Or maybe like with a half lit torch or something like that. And then difficult terrain, I have like boot treads, exhaustion, have like sweat, like precipitation maybe. Piercing damage would be like little thorns. Poison condition would just be like skull and crossbones. And then sickened, maybe like a radioactive symbol. So these are little symbols that you can put at the top of each of the sections throughout the adventure. So at a quick glance, the DM knows these are different things. Like these are different visibility conditions, and these are different hazards and terrain issues that are inside this specific space. So a region can have like mud, like the manifest zone is full of mud. So it's always difficult terrain to trot across unless you are like a ranger with focus in swamps, for instance. Then you don't have to worry about being slowed. But then inside of that, there might be like a sinkhole with undead crawling out of it. So if you go into the sinkhole, the swampy area might be difficult terrain. Inside of it's difficult terrain, but it's also darkness. While outside in the manifest zone, it's like partially obscured dim light. So not only are you disadvantaged to see things, but you're also, the fog of the area limits your visibility out to 20 or 40 feet, as these icons indicate. Ooh, maybe the right one for this would be like a half open eye with or like a gray square 20, and then another gray square 40, just to show indication for like obscurement distances. That kind of makes sense. Yeah, and then like taking care of short and long rests, depending on the intensity of activity in part 1, 2, and 3, will dictate how easy it is for your character to take a rest. And all of the different parts of the adventure are location based. So if it's too intense and you can't get the long rest that you need, you won't be able to in part 3. You can retreat back maybe to a safe spot, like a hideout that you found in part 2, or if you have to, you can retreat all the way back out of the manifest. Here's the underground complex. Part 2 is the manifest zone's top side, and then part 1 is the forest and village beyond. So you might have to retreat all the way to part 1 out of the manifest zone for you to camp and get a long rest. But there's undead, so you have to worry about wandering monsters during the night. So you have to keep watch and all that other good adventuring stuff. So it gets more and more pressure intensive and dangerous terrain as you move further and further through the adventure. So your ability to take short and long rests are limited, especially like if you're doing like a one shot and you're just starting in the facility by being teleported directly into it to kill the people in charge, like it's a kill squad adventure. So you don't have a long rest. At most, you can take a short rest and get after it. Visibility, we were talking, visibility, hazards, and then the different types of encounters and how they're structured. Wandering encounters are flavor text that creates the Sorry, let me catch up. Hey, Rel, what are you doing, man? Good to see you. My eyes are usually half open now. So encounters, the events of the adventure are organized into 3 types of encounters: wandering, prepared, and optional. So wandering encounter, and this is how they're, and now that we've gone, this is all the restructuring that I was doing last night, but now that we have this consistent language about how the structure is actually constructed, when we go into each region, like each part and each region, we can set up a description of the area, like a quick summary of that region or area or part of the adventure. So the running part of like what happens here inside this area, and then you have your weather condition at the front of it, and then after that we talk about the different visibility and conditions, and then after that we already talked about short rest here, so we don't necessarily have to talk about it later on in the document because we already have ground rules for like when's good time to take short and long rest. But then, so we have the region, the weather of the region, the conditions and terrains that affect the region, and then inside of each region there's areas. Like a dungeon will be the region, and then each room in the dungeon is one of the areas. So then once you get down to the area level, there could also be additional conditions and terrain, but the weather's not going to change. So the visibility could change, the conditions could change inside of that specific room, and outside of it you go back to the default conditions of the region. So like if there's normally like magic, like if there's light spells that are normally lining the hallways, but you go into a room that's dark, it'll change from a bright light visibility to a darkness visibility icon at the top of that section. So you have the once you get inside of an area, you have a quick description of the area, and then you have the condition, the visibility and conditions that affect it, and then you list the encounters. In a region, there's going to be a general random encounter while you're moving from area to area. You have like a 1 in 6 chance of bumping into something anytime you leave a room to go to another room. And then once you go inside of the room, while you're in that room, there's a chance of a D6 of something coming into that room because that room is important to them for some reason. They have reason to be there. So that makes that room feel alive, right? So regions and areas throughout the adventure include random tables of creatures that can be encountered while the characters explore different locations. Using these tables adds a more tangible sense of activity in the world with unexpected challenges and opportunities for the characters to interact with. Because a lot of people are like, why the hell do I want a random encounter in my table? Well, if I call them wandering encounters instead of random encounters, it's not that maybe these things are there or they aren't. It's are these things exist inside of this dungeon space? When are you going to bump into them? Or what circumstances crop up? So the DM can start framing the adventure around, this is all the trouble the characters can get into. What's a good time for it to arrive? And that's what wandering encounter tables are for. And they have prepared encounters, so unique challenges and opportunities are included with the descriptions of the regions and areas throughout the adventure for the characters to discover and interact with as they explore. And then optional encounters are... Thank you, timer. Optional encounters are each region provides additional encounters the DM can choose to include during the adventure that are prepared but not designed for a specific location. Many of these encounters have unique maps that can be used while traveling between locations or transitioning from one part of the adventure to another. So you have these 3 different types of encounters that when we go into the actual adventure, like an area, like the forest region is where I'm working on right now, and there's a specific prepared encounter that you run across people that are running away from the manifest zone, so they can give your characters information about the manifest zone, so they know there's a manifest zone. Because when you start this, you don't know there's a manifest zone. You're just hired to help villagers that are like, people are missing and soldiers are pushing us out of the forest. What the fuck's going on? Well, if you go into the forest and you start exploring, you'll find people that are being chased out of the place by undead. It's like, what is going on with these monsters? Yeah, this came from the north. Go north. So you go north and you find the manifest zone. So it pushes you further into the adventure. But there's like a lot of optional encounters as well. Like you could run across a Karnathi patrol. You could run across a white and a herd of ghouls with it that are going to go kill the town if you don't fucking stop them. There could be shadow mastiffs that start hunting your team. So there's a couple different like set encounters that they're optional encounters. Like what if you have like a long rest and camp overnight? So we have a camping map. These are all optional encounters that your characters may or may not have to engage with depending on what the DM wants to do. But then there's also wandering encounters in the forest just to give you a general vibe of what's in the forest. So as your characters proceed through the forest, depending on what their type of mobility is, if they're on horseback, cart, or on foot, and what their speed is, determines how long they're inside of the forest before they reach the manifest zone, which tells you how frequently are you going to roll to see if they run across a wandering encounter, and if like you have your first prepared adventure of running across the fleeing, we call it up a tree because you find them in a tree trying to keep undead from biting their feet. So you fight off the undead and they thank you and they tell you what happened, and then that gives you your seed to move on. So that's the first thing you run into, like D10 plus 5 miles into the forest. Once you hit that mark and you know you're heading in the right direction, there's going to be plenty of tracks for you to follow to get to the manifest zone. And now you know to look for them, right? And so once you're there, it's just however much time it is that between now and then, the DM can just skip it. Now that you've had the encounter, you just skip forward. Yeah, you follow the tracks to the manifest zone, get fucked up. Or if you want to stretch it out across multiple days or thread this into a Carnwood adventure in general, then you can use the wandering encounters and the optional encounters to start funneling your character into not only a location like the cemetery or the flooded fortress or the gatehouse that are inside of the manifest zone to figure out how the team is going to get underground by these different paths, but you can also sculpt the narrative of what's their opinion about the Red Wolves. Do I want to fight them or befriend them? What's going on with the demons and the undead that are being created here? Are there other adventuring groups that are running around inside of the adventure that the team can mess around with? Because each plot hook has different motives, and if you wanted to be interested, we talked about this in the appendix about how to restructure using multiple hooks. You could, like, if there's a kill squad from the 12 that's there to reestablish control and secure their investment in this necromancy thing, you could be running across a team of veterans in black armor that are there just to kill everyone. So you're there, okay, now you're dealing with like a CR, like a team of CR4 veterans and like an adept, right? So you've got this adventuring team that you're now having to fight in the dungeon while you're trying to hunt down the necromancers. They're trying to hunt down the necromancers too, and hunt you down in the process. So like you can introduce, like if you have gatekeepers, if you decide to add gatekeepers to your adventure, now you've got a bunch of cultists, gatekeeper druids slaughtering everyone, and maybe you can convince them not to kill you. Like, hey, I'm here to help. How can we help you? And then you can quarter out the dungeon, have like them take on NPC shit while your team focuses on all the action. So the DM can help split activities that way. So these can either be allies or rivals that are being introduced into the game as optional encounters. So yeah, so that's all. So we have all that structured now, and so now that we have that, now that we have this linear progression of information, technical information, and then the encounters of wandering, optional, wandering prepared and optional encounters. You can lay in the information that you need in the order that I want them. And now that I have that established, I can go through the rest of the book. All 3 parts, all 6 sections, all 6 regions, and all like 47 areas. I can structure them following that same format. And that's what I was doing last night, which is what got us here. So where are we at? 7 o'clock? Cool. I've got a little bit less of an hour. But that's what we figured out last night. So last night was big because we now have... the reason why I couldn't move, I was choking on the different areas and regions because I hadn't established a proper hierarchy of information that I can consistently repeat throughout the document. And now that we have that chain established, I can start just filling in the pieces in each of the areas. This should be able to collapse much more quickly. I was concerned about how long was this actually going to take. I originally wanted it to be done like in the first week or so of November, and that's like 3 weeks away. I have 75 pages to resolve in about 20 days, and that's possible. It's possible. So if I'm a week off or something like that, that's fine. It's my own goals. So it's just like golf, you know. I set a goal, I try to beat my own goal, and I'm a hero for myself if I do. So let's see. Getting back into this. Let's chunk here. Yeah. Let's mess around with that smudge a little bit. There, and don't think I need that anymore. Good. Let's blank that out. Let's blank that out. And let's add in. Is there a fade going on here that I'm not aware of? 55% fade. Let's remove that. Get back to here. There. No. Grab this here. Fade that out like that. There and there and there, and then let's make sure we take this back to the 55%. What is up? So, what's your favorite part of doing projects like this? Oh God, I think this is. Oh Jesus Christ. There's so many. Okay. So from like I say, from ideation to publication, there are a number of steps that you flow through. Ideation is the very first step of like I want to do a thing. You have that spark of that spark of insight. And then once you go through once you have the idea, right, ideation, then you start looking at like how would this be structured? What's the scope of this thing? What do I want it to be able to accomplish? And I think one of my favorite parts is when I have an idea and I start like going through like what's the scope of the project? Like are there subclasses or feats or spells or like what's a component that's going to be a part of this project? That like how many pages is going to end up being, right? How many different components are there? I think one of the things that I like the most is like when I go through that process and I start seeing all the different pieces start to assemble to create like either like a new type of campaign or like an actual adventure or like once a theme starts to build and I can fill technical pieces into that theme to reinforce a new genre or whatever it is that we're doing. I like that spark of like this thing is going to work. And then I like once we get all the technical stuff done and we get into layouts, I like doing the layouts here. This is the most difficult part, but it's where I get to use the text itself as part of the visual assets that we're creating here to create artwork. Like the page becomes a piece of art by having everything assembled together. I'm still learning my layouts and composition skills so that I can just have a page just feel like a piece of art unto itself while still being technical information and being able to guide you as a game. That's the skills that's like the level of skill that I'm working at right now. Like that's what I'm trying to improve. So that's where my skill set is trying to expand. Feeling my skill set expand feels awesome. That's my favorite part, is when I realize an idea I have I can do. Like when I realize that I can do like little navigation buttons that I can make active as click here things in PDFs. Like I can make this illustration, something I can click to take you inside of the document. Like that was a huge revelation for me. That felt amazing to figure that out and to be able to add that tool into my design craft when I'm building stuff here. So what is that? Weird. Okay, so that's all there. And now I'm looking at the right-hand side. I'm just let that sit. Let's go back to the middle. That was my illustration. A reference point there. That actually sits really nicely on the page now. Fucking cool. Let's see. That's not so bad either. That kind of washes into itself. I'm really trying to figure out how do I want. Like this feels a little empty, right? And then we go over here to the left. I've got a dot over here. Like this feels pretty damn empty. Yeah, just figuring it out. When the illustrations, the Spelljammer book that we built, I think one of my biggest prouds in that composition was just the increasing my proficiency in creating vehicles, like doing vehicle technical art like that. That was a big accomplishment for me. So each project, is that a cop-out answer? Am I giving you bullshit answers? I don't mean to be. It's kind of hard to explain, right? Like I do the books because I have an idea and I think it's cool because I like to build books. But the exciting part of it to me, the quote unquote best part of it to me is when I realize that building this book is going to give me is going to give me a new level. Like I'm going to increase my skill level as a result of working on this book. Like that is the most exciting thing to me, period. And this got resized, so that's interesting. Let's take this and let's drop the opacity on it. I feel like I'm like way off baseline right now. So let's get back to where we once belonged. A little big. Is that lined up? Let's go here. I'm gonna blip like that, and then let's select invert so I can fill. Oops. So I can fill in with black here. That, and then we select inverse and erase outside the circle here. Keep that ear in place. There. So that's the patch that the Red Wolves have on their shoulder. It's also, you know, like a flag. So. And then we'll have the Emerald Claw, their symbol here. What is going on? Oh yeah. Right. Let's see if this lines up. You know what? I've got this one. I should probably just use this one. So let's duplicate that layer. I see text. Hold on. Center in the column. See, these guys don't have an insignia. They're just a fucking town. This is a bunch of town folk. Like, what do we got? We got nothing. Leave us alone. So, thank you. Yeah, we went with Red Wolf because the ritual is it coincides, like you have a full moon. The moon Sephiroth is connected to the plane of Mabar. There's 13 moons. There's 13 planes in Eberron. So Sephiroth. It's hold on. I felt like there was a little snaggle down here. Nah, we're fine. That's fine. That's plenty. Like you could potentially zoom in like this if you wanted to. That's like the circle, this timer circle there. That's about that's like if okay. Hold on. I was talking about page design, right? About the composition, or like how the page fits. If I were to, hold on, I'm doing a bit. Bye. going to hit save and get out of here before I cause trouble with this, because I feel like I'm going to cause trouble. But looking at the width of this here, that's about a 16:9 ratio. So like you see like a little bit of tags off on the side here, but this one thing sits in here. This circle, okay, so here's my phone. That circle around the timer, that's about maybe 15%, 10% larger than the circle we have here, and maybe like 20%. So like if I were to zoom in like this would be the same size on here, right? Hold on, hit H, pull this down a bit. It's actually a little bit smaller than that. More like this. Yeah, that's about right. So that like I would not need like this resolution here for like this being on a tablet or like for a cell phone for you just casually strolling through, like that resolution is plenty. And that text size, I mean, even I can read this. I'm blind as hell and I can read this at this distance. So I am excited that I don't need to worry about like ultra resolution on these little spot illustrations, right? I can have like there's decent resolution on this, but it doesn't look wrong next to this one. So I'm really happy about that. I don't have to kill myself in ultra detail. So, but what I do need to do is I want to figure out what's in a. I was using like this as a sort of like a backdrop, but I'm not sure if it's the proper course now. So I'm going to drop that out of the way because I like how right is sitting on its own. I'll take this and this, and then here. Kind of something like that. I'm just going to fuck around with this for a little bit and find out what's going on. So I want to be able to transition from one part to the next without feeling like a weird hard break is happening, you know? I want them to fit together, and being able to do a hazy background like this is a real cheat way to be able to do it. Wait a second, do I have a background that's... Oh, yeah. I've got just a little taste of... hold on real quick. I'm going to add another layer here. And... yeah, let's go to pure white. Yeah, see, that's pure white, but we took just a little edge off of it just to soften it a little bit so it's not as harsh. It's very subtle, but I do this in most of my documents. Just like just a little bit of a canvas softening of the backing. So anyway, I'm kind of word salading right now. Don't mind me. Let's go back to smudge work. So good, glad. Yeah, this thing's turning out pretty good. I'm pretty happy. So I just want to blend this down so it's consistent. I should probably put a tooth in there, like, you know, so these guys have teeth. Okay, right. So the write-up here is like they work with undead, right? If you saw one of the earlier adventures, they have a modified pike. It's a heavy reached weapon that has a chain on it. That has a fishing pole thread going through it, but it's a heavy chain, so it's not easy to break. But what happens is if they hit you with an attack from basically I think I forget what we call it. That's right, a grappling pike. So if they hit you with it, it has this chain on a loop. Oh, hold on, I should go find it. I fucking love this thing. I'm so happy with it. Hold on, real quick. Let's go find it in crystals, and then we'll go to art. No, crystals and not name. We want art. And then what do we want? Flora, creatures, cover, equipment. Environment? No, that's environment tokens. Manifest zone, cobble path, handouts, intro, production, trash. Doors and things? No, it's not in doors and things. Flora, creatures, cover, creatures and characters. Handouts? No. Is it creatures and... Where the hell is it? Intro, cover. I gotta go find it now. Creatures, hook, patrons, items, oddities. There it is. Items. Okay, there it is. The hook glaive. So it has these fishing pole lines, right? And it has either a cord or a chain. So when you hit with a glaive, you can use a bonus action to make a grappling attack by noosing the opponent that you hit with your weapon. So it's a reach weapon. So this allows you to have grappling at range. So if your team is in charge of wrangling undead, which is what the Red Wolves do, right? They're part of the necromantic regiment that was retired. They were dealt with containing undead threats. So what they would do is they'd have these glaives. They could just basically man-catch, hook them like fishing wire, and then pull the string taut. Hook. There's a little ring here, so you can hook this on your sword belt, right on the hilt of your sword, so it gets anchored to you, and then you can brace with both hands like you're pulling in a big catch on a fishing line, right? Well, that's essentially what you're doing here. And if the undead gets too sassy, you've got the blade, so you can just they're already grappled. You have advantage to attack them. So you can hack at them. Once you have them grappled, instead of using a bonus action to grapple them, you can use a bonus action to hit the thing that you have grappled. So you can get 2 attacks on them because they're already grappled. Anyway, it's a cool little, it's a stupid little device, but this is the kind of gear that the Red Wolf run around with that make them undead hunters or like MPs, like military police that wrangle and control undead, which is why the Emerald Claw would want to hire these guys to help police a manifest zone where undead are rising up and trying to leave the manifest zone. Keep those shit corralled. They've got a pit that they've got all this undead that they've dumped into and keep locked in there in the flooded fortress. If you go into the tunnel, there's like hundreds of undead in there. It's like, Jesus Christ. So, oh man, it's great. So anyway, but there's a hole in the tunnel that the Red Wolves don't know about, so they can crawl out of the hole and then run free into the landscape. So once they find the hole to the tunnel, they're like, oh shit, all of our undead have gotten out. And then they get attacked by a mob of undead. So anyway, so yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I felt like I needed to share that with you, but I love that glaive, the weapon mastery stuff. In the Martial Powers project that we've been developing, we've taken the weapon masteries basically and expanded on it to be like full-blown cantrip effects. I have 13 of them total, and Grappler is one of the masteries that I've added on. You can prepare them like cantrips, and so like if you have the Grappler weapon mastery, it doesn't matter what weapon specifically you're using, but you're proficient in using weapons and grappling. So if you have a melee weapon and use the grappling feat property, then you can use that weapon to hold the opponent, and you can use I need to introduce language about this, but the thought is that if you have somebody grappled with your weapon and then they break free of the grapple, you can use that as a disengage action because they're trying to ungrapple the weapon. So you can use your opportunity attack to hit the creature that's ending the grapple with your weapon. Like if you have somebody grappled with a sword, like I've done this, use a long blade, and you can hook their arm, so you can create an arm bar by threading the blade through their elbow and across the back of their neck, so they're locked up like this with a blade. And all you have to do is pull the blade free, and you end up cutting the back of their neck and their elbow at the same time. So if somebody tries to end a grapple with my sword, I can use an opportunity attack to cut them with the sword as they withdraw from the grapple, and then try to hit them again and use the grappling to re-catch them. So while they try to escape, I can hit them with an opportunity attack to use my mastery of grappling again. So I hit them with the weapon to deal damage, and I'm immediately threatening them with them having to make another saving throw to avoid being grappled again. So they get out of it, they might get right back into it if that's how I use my opportunity attack. So it's it's a fun little sequence. That's some of that's why I like, that's from a design perspective. That's why I like the 2024 rules of 5e, because they have legitimately expanded the resources and the just flexible abilities of characters in general. So it's a more dynamic. 24 is legitimately a more dynamic system than what 14 was, and it's an awesome play space to mess around inside of. I need to take this and move it higher up. Oh yeah, that felt good. That would actually, that should be part of the grappler, the close quarter combat sustained power. You know what? Now that I'm actually thinking about it, sorry, tangent. We're talking. Let's grab this real quick. Huge tangent, I know, but I'm thinking about it, so I want to lock that down while I'm thinking about it, so I don't lose it on accident. So let's get into swift shot reactions, sustained powers, blind sense, close quarter combat. While this power is sustained, you gain the grapple mastery. Period. This is gonna work. In addition, when you, while using the grapple mastery to grapple a target with your weapon, if the target, this is bad text, but if the target breaks the grapple, you can make an opportunity attack against that target with the grappling weapon. And again, whenever you make an attack, you can use a weapon mastery. You automatically have the grappling mastery with anything that uses close quarters. So this is a sustained effect. It's like a constant. You don't have to concentrate on it, but at first level, you only have one rank of sustained powers, and so the close combat, the close quarter combat sustained power, basically you can turn that on. That would be at first level. That'd be the only thing you could have. At fifth level, you could have two of them active at the same time, like blind sense and close quarter combat, or like aquatic anatomy and cliff runner, or whatever. Crouching stance and close quarter combat is a nasty combo. So while this is active, is basically like having haste turned on. It's an effect that you're maintaining, so it's giving you multiple things. In this case, that grappling mastery that we were talking about. And now, while you have this active, you can make opportunity attacks when somebody breaks grapple with the weapon you're grappling with. And then the kicker effect is you can spend mana at any time to ramp the difficulty of breaking free of your grapple, or to add to your saving throw to break a grapple, so you become really good at grappling. As an exploit, you can roll 1 power die per mana kicked up to the max channel limit, adding the result to the DC for any creature attempting to break or end your grapple. To avoid or break So that's an instant effect. It's anytime someone's making a saving throw involved with you and grappling, you can spend mana to increase the DC or the result that you roll. So I just needed to take a hot second there to get that loaded in before I forgot about it. But that's introducing interesting design space that is allowing us to create new combos, and like that is like the only time you can make an opportunity attack with that mastery is if you have close quarter combat sustained. So like that becomes a really interesting reason for a grappler build to want to take close quarter combat. It's a really great ramper for the type of thing that you want to do. Anyway, whatever. It's like if I wanted to play a Red Wolf in Eberron, I could be like, yeah, I could do that. I'd have the technical bits to be able to do something interesting like that. I'm gonna take this here and blend that in. There we go. Very similar. Very good. There. That feels pretty good. Cool. All right, so we're making this this blending going on. Ultimately, we'll be able to take all this background stuff and make it a single layer. This dot, and those villagers as a separate layer. We'll be able to simplify the thing. It's a little messy right now, but it's because we're in the weeds. There's the red. There's the green. So let's get rid of that again. I'll lock this down. I want to get really, really red over here. I'm gonna, yeah, that's appropriate. Let's do that. Red there. And then I'm just drop a dollop of, no, wait, I did that backwards. Red. And then a dollop of green down here just to get it out of the way. Let's take a look at this. Barely, that's really low saturation. So I think, how's our sats? Yeah, not a lot of high saturation over here. So I want to make sure I don't oversaturate with the red. So I'm going to bring that down a lot. Like that, much lower saturation. Good. Oh yeah, that's a good transition. That actually works. Nice. So watching the slider over here, the RGB slider up in the corner. To watch how the colors moved. See there's the same level of saturation here. It's actually the same color. That's great that blends in like that. This is, yeah, there's a little bit of spikes of color here, but it's not like that's probably the sharpest saturation in the whole piece right there. Our skin. Kid down here, so that level of saturation, and it's actually kind of paralleling that reddishness. So I think that's good. I don't see color, but the way that the RGB is moving, it feels nice. Like the movement is good when I'm pushing that RGB around. So that tells me that even though I don't see color, that's probably a pretty good design. So I can drop that out of the way. I want to drop left out of the way for the time being as well. I just want to smudge all this in here. Where are we at? 7:30? Shit, 7:40. Okay, I've got 20 minutes left, and then I got to bounce. The thing is that once I finish the page layouts, I do page layouts off screen, afternoon and after work and before bed, depending on how much, how tired I am, how much progress I can get done. We move forward in the book. But once all the layouts are done, my evening opens up. So I can keep doing artwork in the evening, which will be off screen. You won't see all of it, but I'll be able to keep moving forward more quickly to get the thing done. So the layouts right now is the bottleneck that we're dealing with, which is why I've been fretting over it so much for the past week, trying to figure out the proper design. Because once I get the proper design in, then the rest of the document just kind of flows out of it until I find the next hiccup. But at least I'm establishing more and more foothold in how this thing is supposed to look, right? I'm yammering a little bit, so don't mind me. I'm just really just spending time here blending this stuff in. Because I like doing fades like that into the canvas. It's because of all the Bob Ross painting that I've done. I like doing smoky, hazy, sort of atmospheric effects. But what we haven't done, what we're going to do on, I think what we'll be doing Saturday maybe? I'm feeling like as I keep moving through this project, I get more and more excited about the artwork that's in it. It makes me want to fill more of my time doing it. So our workbench this Saturday might actually be doing artwork like this. I don't know. We're coming along nicely on the color. Yeah, I think my gut's really wanting to do more artwork. It's just it's the puzzle of figuring out how do I need to depict what I need to do, and can I do it with flair, And when the answers start coming back, yeah, you can do this, and here's how cool you can make it. I'm like, oh, this shit just works. It feels so good. It feels so good. I need to make a trash folder. So, trash. Pass the trash. Drop that there. Drop that there. Trash. And trash folder down there. We really do need to extract all the background stuff from the piece. Middle. Left. Leave that in place. Oh, ho, ho. That whole block. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that like that. We don't need this anymore. We'll take that down to the trash. Villagers, front haze. That's all blended together nice. Okay, I'm going to try. We're gonna duplicate this group. I'm going to conceal that one, but I'm going to then merge layers. So now it's all one background. Cool. So now we smooth that in. I can come into here and I can work on some of these micro details in here. That up a little bit. I just want to lighten this a little bit here. I can come back through and texture some leaves into it with some highlights. I'm trying to take us out of the forest into the mists, right? So into the manifest zone where it's foggy and swampish. I want to change the background to be more of a fuzziness. I don't know the right word. What's up? Oh, right on, man. Chronics, thanks for hanging out, my guy. I really appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I'll be out of here in 10 minutes or so. So we'll be back on. This is the only stream that we're doing for a day. Wednesdays. Wednesday is our minimalist day. We'll be back tomorrow morning to continue with this, and that'll be Thursday night. Oh my God, it's Thursday. So I'm going to be playing. I think I'm playing Beckme with Wally DM and Fred Wheeler and AJ Pickett and whoever else tags along. But I think we're playing some more Beckme Clue. I'll post on my Discord when that's up and running. But that should be tomorrow, like at 5 o'clock Seattle time, which is like 8 o'clock East Coast, and then after that I'll do more book design tomorrow night. We're gonna work. Oh yeah, we'll work on the Druid next. That's for the 5-color mana project. 2024 revisions. We'll work on the Druid. So that's what we'll do Thursday, and then on Friday we'll be back doing more artwork like this. And then we'll be working on lunchtime. I think it's the Sorcerer, Druid, Sorcerer. Yeah, Sorcerer, which we've already have the Sorcerer's Spell Point Sorcerer supplement that we've been building. So it'll be pretty quick and easy to be able to build that out. And then Saturday we'll continue. Like I said, we'll continue doing artwork. And then on Monday night, Monday morning we'll be back doing this, and then Monday night. We'll be back doing design work, and since the Sorcerer will be done on Friday, we'll revise the Warlock. We've already been working on the Warlock in the Martial Powers book, so that'll be quick and easy as well. And then Tuesday morning we'll be back doing artwork, and then Tuesday lunch we can dig into the Wizard. And if by circumstance we need more than that, we'll have Thursday night next week to finish the Wizard. And this weekend I'm going to start putting out the open call first to my Patreons. What day is this? So this week, this Saturday I'm going to be putting out word to Patreons to ask if they're interested in having a Monday or a Saturday playtest for Martial Powers. And and then we'll give them a week, and then we'll have the 3rd. I'm going to open up. We'll see how many of my Patreons are going to be able to participate on what day. And then by the 3rd, we'll have an open call. And so plans to start the next Martial Powers playtesting at level 3 in the Mega Dungeon will be... I think I'm going to be occupied. Saturday the 9th. Yeah, there we go. The 2nd, and then the 9th. Yeah, so we'll either start on the 9th or the 11th. I'm not sure which of those, but one of those. So if you're interested in playtesting the Martial Power System, and you aren't, make sure you're on my Discord. And if you want to guarantee that you have a seat, respond on be a $1 subscriber to Patreon and respond to that. So we offer Patreons first, and then we finish out the rest of the seats with Discord community. And if I can't find enough participants in my Discord community, then I'll outreach through Reddit and Twitter and other Discord channels and Facebook, and go out on the street, whatever. We'll find people. This working this into this canvas takes a little while, but I think the results are going to be worth it when I get it done. Yeah, I can definitely just resketch the foliage as highlights in here. That'll be easy. It's just the overall gradient, working that into the canvas. That's actually that's the trickiness of it. There, that's why I get paid the big bucks. It's hard pushing these pixels around. They're gummy, and smoothing out the gradient so it doesn't feel rough. It's a patience thing. I'm just basically sitting here mashing pixels until I'm done. It's not like it's hard work. It's just a really fancy form of drumming your fingers in boredom. Like it's like that, but like a lot more complicated. It's essentially the same thing. I'm literally watching paint dry. So I mean, that's what we're doing here. Just gotta blend that in. It takes for fucking ever to do it. I know there's gradient tools inside of Photoshop that might be able to expedite this process, but if I did that, I would have less. I'd have less mastery of my tools by doing this manually. This is something I can do manually. I mean, sometimes production speed, sure. Let's use a tool, right? There's not a lot of circumstances I can think about where that's the optimal answer. Sometimes like a fill button, just like a paint can, just to fill in an outline. Like that's easy enough. But technical work like this gradient, the more I can do it manually, the more I'm training, the more I'm practicing. Artwork is the process of not only creating something, but also practicing creating something at the same time. Every success that I have is basically just a step towards you're better. You're becoming a better artist because you just achieved this thing. And that whatever that thing I just achieved, it could be any number of things. Like that was a really great, like a freehand circle. That's a fantastic freehand circle. Or like the portioning, like the balance of this composition is really strong. Or whatever. It could be a billion different things. Like the lighting on that looks good. The saturation is strong. The mood, the emotion, the anatomy, the look, like the style, all these things. These are all variables, like the dials that can be turned and levers pulled to change the quality and effect of the illustration. And every one of those elements is something that it's like its own skill. They have to be individually trained through effort and process. And the mere act of using the tools, like the smudge tool, with different sizes and different opacities and strengths and shapes, all these things are training my ability at using the tools in Photoshop more effectively. It just gets, every time I use them, it gets easier to use them. So
If you really need to save time, go ahead and use like automated tools that Photoshop provides. That's great for collapsing time frames if you need to. But if you're trying to improve your skills as an artist, which is what I'm always trying to do, then try to do as much of the work manually as you can, so you understand how the tools work better. So you understand the strength of the percentage of the percentage strength of your smudge. As that changes, you become more reflexive and just being able to just automatically tap in the buttons that you need to get your paintbrush to create the results that you want. That becomes a reflex, right? That's the difference between, like, if I need to hit an E sharp on a guitar, that's going to feel different on the 3rd string versus the 5th string. They're at different positions, but those different positions end up looking the same. While you're playing and you're moving on the fret, when you get good enough, your body will know, I need to be on the 3rd string to pull off this next mark, or I need to be on the 7th string to pull off this next mark. Like, your body just naturally evolves, like how it moves. It's how you move and utilize the tools becomes part of the art. So the paintbrushes that I built and the way that I use them is literally part of the art process. It is the art. As like the brushes I use and the textures that I create and the effects that I use is as much of the composition of the piece as the actual final assembly. I'm really word salading at you guys right now. Don't mind me. Just gonna smudge that down a bit. Good. Just want to keep, it's just obviously taking a while. It is taking a while. But there's no other real way to do it. I kind of have to go through this smudgery process because of the texture that I want. I can shift down to a lower strength so I can blend instead of push. If the strength of your smudge is high enough, like above 30%, it starts pushing pixels. But if it's below 30%, it smudges them, like it blends. Like below 30% is blending, above 30% is pushing. And I push pixels as much as I paint them. There, like that. Yeah, we're almost done. Making progress. So I need to be pushing these a little bit more than I am blending them. And my strength is only 20% right now. So like if I take it up to 40%, I can push those pixels a lot easier. But it's too strong. It needs to be down in the 20% here because I'm trying to blend these together, smudge them into each other as a smoother gradient. Let's see. Right, middle.
Something like that.
Crap. All right, well, I guess that's my time. God, I love doing this. Once I start getting into artwork, I fall in love with it. Nothing is liberating like doing artwork. Nothing. It's just, sculpting, I imagine, feels the same way. It's just it's the craft. It's the solo work of crafting a piece of art, a composition, making something. It feels amazing. So we're going to leave this like that for now. When we come back, we'll be able to finish this up. We'll drop in the Emerald Claw emblem. And then we'll be done with this page and we'll move on to the next one. So this is taking longer than I thought it would, but I guess everything always does. Anyway, that's going to be my chorus throughout the entire piece, I'm sure. But when it's done, goddamn, it's going to be a gorgeous piece. This is probably... I say this with everything that I do, but I feel like this is going to be my best work. But I'm expanding. I'm continuing to expand my capabilities, so it feels progressive for me. So naturally, I'm going to feel that way. I'm not shredding over just a bland 2-column book of character options that are basically an alphabetical list with some spot illustrations tossed in to chop up the word blocks. This is a much more advanced form of result. Like this is a much more complicated document. Yeah, that's feeling really, really good. I have to go. Okay, I gotta hit stop. I don't want to, but God, I gotta go. I'm going to try to figure out my sleep schedule so I can be up earlier, because I really love doing this artwork, and I want to spend more time with it in the morning. It just feels too good. So that's it for now. I gotta bounce out of here. I'm gonna be back tomorrow morning, God willing. I'll be here at 6 instead of 6:30, maybe even 5:30. God, that'd be insane. To be able to get a lot of work done tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks a lot for everyone that's tagging along in this process. I absolutely loving being here. And if you like it too, then like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the future. So thanks a lot.